The sun rose over the silver towers of Virion City, casting golden light through the clean glass windows of Virion Systems, one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Inside the busy building, people moved quickly with tablets in hand, voices low and eyes focused. Among them was Mina, a junior assistant working on the 17th floor of the operations department. Mina was smart and curious, always asking questions, always trying to do her best. But in a place like Virion, talent often got lost behind titles. She worked hard every day, typing reports, bringing coffee, fixing meeting slides, doing everything except what she truly wanted: to build and design like the engineers upstairs. This morning was like many others. Mina arrived early, dressed neatly in a plain white shirt and gray trousers, her ID card swinging from her neck. As she stepped into the main office, she noticed the same problem again. The copier was broken. A red light blinked on its small screen. Error 519. Paper jam, Mina sighed. Of course. She bent down, opened the tray, and tried to find the jammed paper. She pulled one out, but the light stayed red. She tapped the screen. Nothing. As she stood up, a quiet voice came from behind her. Need some help with that? Mina turned around and saw a man in gray coveralls holding a small toolkit. He looked around 50, with short dark hair and kind eyes. His name tag read, Tom. She stepped aside. If you can fix it, I'd really appreciate it. Tom smiled slightly. Let's take a look. He crouched down in front of the machine, opened the side panel, and carefully adjusted a few wires. His hands moved confidently, like he had done this 100 times. Mina watched him closely. Something about him seemed different from the usual janitors. He was calm, focused, and didn't rush. Is this your first day here? Mina asked, just trying to make conversation. Tom nodded without looking up. First day in this building. I used to work in other branches. Mina gave a polite smile. Well, welcome to 17th floor. If you survive this copier, you can survive anything. Tom gave a quiet chuckle. Good to know. In just a few minutes. He closed the panel and stood up. He pressed the screen, and the red light vanished. The copier hummed back to life. It should work now, he said. Mina blinked. That was fast, thank you. Most tech people take twice as long. I've had some practice, Tom replied. Mina tilted her head slightly. You don't talk like a janitor. Tom paused, then smiled gently. Maybe I just listen more then. I speak. With that, he turned and walked away, pushing his small cart of tools. Mina stood there for a moment, watching him leave. Something about him stayed in her mind. Most janitors didn't fix high-end machines so easily. And most didn't. Sound like that, but she had no time to wonder. Her boss, Mr. Dallin, called her to his office. Another long day had begun. The rest of the day went by in a blur. Mina handled 5 meetings, prepared 2 reports, and answered over 70 emails. She saw Tom twice more, once cleaning the hallway glass, and once carrying a stack of old monitors. Both times he nodded politely, but didn't say a word. That evening, as the office emptied and only a few lights remained on, Mina stayed behind. She had promised herself to finish organizing the system logs from the last quarter. Most people ignored these logs, but she always believed that small details mattered. She sat alone at her desk when the lights above flickered once, then returned to normal. Then came a familiar hum, the copier again. She stood up and walked over to check it. But before she could reach, she noticed Tom standing beside it, once again adjusting something. This time, she didn't speak right away. She just watched. He wasn't rushing. He was focused, even delicate in the way he handled the internal parts. Do you enjoy fixing machines? She asked softly. Tom didn't look up. Machines are honest. They either work or they don't. No politics, Mina nodded slowly. Wish the same could be said about people here. Tom closed the panel, straightened, and gave her a curious glance. You don't sound very happy. She laughed, a little surprised by his boldness. I'm fine, just tired of being invisible. He looked at her a moment longer, then said, sometimes being invisible lets you see more. Then he turned and walked toward the elevator. Mina remained still. His words were simple, but somehow meaningful. The next morning, something strange happened. The systems team gave credit to a mystery helper who fixed an internal bug in their AI report summary. No one claimed responsibility. No record showed who entered the terminal room. Mina thought about Tom, but that didn't make sense. Why would a janitor know how to fix complex code? Still, the thought stayed with her. She glanced at the copier, running smooth. No errors. She smiled quietly and walked back to her desk. She didn't know it yet, but her life at Varian Systems was about to change forever, and it all started with a janitor who wasn't really a janitor at all. The next week passed quietly, but Mina couldn't stop thinking about Tom, the janitor. Every time she saw him, he was working in silence, fixing a vent, adjusting a sensor, checking lights. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his words felt thoughtful, calm, and somehow important. Mina started noticing small things. Once, a delivery robot broke down in the hallway. Before the IT team arrived, Tom had already reset its system and sent it back on its way. Another time, the elevator glitched, and Tom pressed a hidden button behind the panel that made it start working again. It was strange. Too strange. He knew things janitors usually didn't. One afternoon, Mina decided to ask Amir, the building maintenance manager, about Tom. Hey, that new janitor Tom, where did he come from? She asked while waiting near the snack machines. Amir scratched his head. Tom? Oh yeah, he came in last week. Said he was transferred from another branch. Seemed quiet but skilled. Why? Nothing. Just curious, Mina said with a small smile. But her curiosity only grew. That Thursday, something unusual happened. The company's main presentation hall lost power for 10 minutes during a product preview. Lights went out. The big screen turned black. People whispered nervously. Engineers rushed in, trying to reboot the system. But then, before anyone could solve it, the lights flickered back on, and everything returned to normal. Later, Mina overheard someone from security saying, "It's weird. No one from the tech team fixed it. It just came back." That evening, Mina stayed behind again. She watched the security feed through her department's console. She didn't have full access, but she could see hallway cameras. She rewound the footage during the power loss. There it was, Tom entering the utility room near the presentation hall. Just minutes before the power came back, he was in and out. In under 5 minutes. She leaned back in her chair, heart beating faster. Who are you, Tom? The next day, Mina decided to talk to him directly. She found him near the rooftop garden, fixing a light sensor by the door. The soft wind made his gray coveralls flutter slightly. He was focused as always. Tom, she said, approaching. He looked up and gave a polite nod. Morning. You fixed the lights in the hall, didn't you? He paused, then smiled lightly. That depends. What makes you think I did? I saw the security footage. Tom didn't answer for a moment. Then he put down his small screwdriver and leaned on the railing, looking out over the city. Sometimes it's better to solve problems quietly, he said. No meetings, no noise, just action. Mina folded her arms. You're not a regular janitor, are you? He looked at her, and for a brief second, his expression changed. The quiet smile faded, replaced by something more serious, almost tired. You notice too much, he said, almost like a compliment. I listen more than I speak, she replied, echoing his own words from earlier. That made him smile again. Let's just say I'm observing, he said gently. Watching how things work from the inside. You can't fix what's broken if you don't see it up close. But why the disguise? She asked. Tom looked away toward the skyline. Because power makes people act differently. If I came in as who I really am, no one would show their true self. They'd act perfect, careful, polite, but not real. Mina stared at him. So you really are someone important. He gave her a thoughtful look. Important is just a title. Useful is better. Then he turned and walked away, toolkit in hand, leaving Mina standing alone, filled with more questions. Then answers. Later that night, Mina did something bold. She searched old company photos on the public archive of Varian Systems. She scrolled through images of past events, leadership meetings, and award shows. And there he was. In a picture from 3 years ago, Thomas Holland, founder and CEO of Varian. Wearing a suit, shaking hands, standing tall. Same eyes. Same calm expression. Her breath caught in her throat. It's him. He hadn't been seen publicly for months. The news had said he was ill, recovering in private. The board had taken over daily operations. But now, the truth was clear to her. The man sweeping the floor and fixing the copier was Thomas Holland himself. The next day, Mina tried to stay calm at work. She kept her head down, finished her tasks, and didn't talk about what she had discovered. But her mind was racing. Why was the CEO pretending to be a janitor? What was he trying to learn or stop? In the afternoon, while grabbing a coffee, she bumped into Mr. Rouleau, one of the board members. He was talking loudly on the phone. Launch date is next week. I don't care if the system isn't perfect. Profits are climbing. We push it now. He ended the call with a sharp tone. Mina stepped back quietly. The way he talked didn't sound safe or responsible. Suddenly, things felt even more serious. Maybe Thomas Holland wasn't just watching. Maybe he was preparing to stop something big. And Mina realized she was now part of something much greater than broken copiers and meeting slides. She had a choice to make: stay quiet, or help the janitor who wasn't a janitor at all. Even after the public broadcast and employee support, Tom and Mina knew the battle wasn't finished. The override program had been stopped, but there was still one final problem left: the hidden backup system. Tom had discovered it only recently, buried deep in the company's old plans. Years ago, Varian had built a secret satellite link called Project Skykey. It was meant as an emergency backup for data recovery. But now, the board had secretly reactivated it as a hidden path to launch Neuromind. Even if everything on Earth was shut down. Tom had confirmed it. The AI code was already uploaded. If the satellite's core wasn't deleted within 48 hours, the launch could trigger automatically. Mina was shocked when she heard the news. They're still trying to activate it? Tom nodded. It's their last move, quiet, hidden, and dangerous. Where's the control center? Basement level 6, he said. Restricted zone. Hardly anyone knows it exists anymore. But I helped design it, long ago. Mina took a deep breath. Then let's stop it. The entrance to basement level 6 was not easy to reach. The floors below level 3 were rarely used anymore, and access was limited to only top security. Tom used his old access codes, while Mina handled the building's digital systems. They waited until late at night, when most staff were gone. The halls were quiet, and the elevators moved slower, as if sensing the pressure of their mission. As they walked through the lower levels, the walls became older, colder, and dustier. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Old machines sat covered in cloth. It was like stepping into the company's forgotten past. Finally, they reached a large steel door marked Level 6 Data Core Access, Authorized Personnel Only. Tom placed his hand on the scanner. The light blinked red. Access denied. He frowned. They must have locked my prints. Mina stepped forward. Try voice. Tom took a breath and spoke clearly. Thomas Holland, Master Override, Voice ID, Delta 40. The red light turned green. The door clicked open slowly, with a heavy sound. Inside, the room was dimly lit. A row of blue lights glowed from the sides of a large circular chamber. At the center stood a tall machine, humming softly, the satellite link terminal. Tom walked forward and tapped the screen. Project Skykey, active. Neuramind uplink, 98% completed. Estimated auto trigger, 47H12. Mina stared. It's almost done, Tom typed quickly. We can stop the uplink from here. But we'll need to shut down the energy core first, or it'll just restart the connection. He moved to the side panel, opening the metal casing to reveal a complex system of wires and small control chips. Suddenly, clack, the sound of a gun clicking echoed through the room. Tom and Mina froze. They turned slowly, standing in the doorway. Was Ms. Lara, the head of security, with 2 guards behind her. You really think we didn't know? Lara said coldly. You should have stayed hidden, Thomas. And you, Mina, how disappointing. Tom stood in front of Mina. It's over, Lara. Everyone knows the truth now. Lara's voice was calm but sharp. The public forgets. Investors forget. All we need is one big success, and Neuramind is our key. It's already in the sky, Thomas. You can't stop it. I can, he said, not backing down. Lara raised her hand. Take them. The guards stepped forward, but just then, the lights flickered. The screens blinked. Loud buzzing sound filled the room. Everyone turned. On the upper wall, a small drone camera hovered, broadcasting live. And in the hallway behind Lara, employees began to appear, some from engineering, some from communications, even a few from security. One of them held up a phone, showing that the entire confrontation was being streamed to the company network. Lara's eyes widened. What is this? Tom said firmly. A final checkmate. One of the guards lowered his arm. Another took a step back. Lara realized her control was slipping. Mina stepped forward. You threatened the wrong people. You can't hide anymore. With tension rising, Lara made one last desperate move. She reached toward the control panel, trying to destroy the console. But Tom moved fast. He caught her arm and pulled her back gently but firmly. Enough, he said. You've done enough damage. The guards didn't stop him. Lara stared at everyone, then finally lowered her hands. Within minutes, the room was filled with Virian staff. The security team officially removed Lara's access. Tom and Mina returned to the console and began the shutdown sequence. Mina typed in the final code. Satellite uplink terminated. Project Skykey deactivated. The terminal shut down, the lights fading out one by one. It was over. Truly over. Back in the main building, word spread fast. Staff cheered. Messages flooded the internal network. Media outlets picked up the news, and headlines read, Virian CEO saves world from rogue AI launch. Employee helps expose hidden satellite AI project. That night, Tom stood on the rooftop, looking out at the city lights. The sky was peaceful. Mina joined him, her face tired but bright. We did it, she said. Tom nodded. Not alone, not this time. She smiled. What happens now? We rebuild, he replied. But this time, with people who care. He turned to her. You changed more than this company, Mina. You reminded me why I started all this. She looked at him with quiet pride. You reminded me that even someone unseen can do something big. The stars above shined brighter that night, not because of satellites or machines, but because 2 people, once invisible in the crowd, chose to stand for what was right. And now, a new future was about to begin. Mina walked beside Mr. Dallin, her heart pounding with every step. She didn't know if he would help or betray her. But she had no choice. Time was running out. The Neuramind override countdown was still ticking. Soon, the dangerous AI would launch itself from orbit, and no one could stop it. Mr. Dallin was the system director, and his access code was the only missing piece. When they reached the top-level data room, Tom was still working at the master terminal. The screen displayed a blinking warning. Override active. 1 hour 6 minutes and 17 seconds remaining. Tom turned when he heard the door open. His expression was serious, But his eyes showed relief when he saw Mina and surprise when he saw Dallin with her. Dallin stared at Tom for a long moment. "Thomas?" he said in disbelief. "It's really you," Tom nodded. "Yes, it's me." Dallin stepped forward. "You disappeared. Everyone thought you were sick or worse. Why come back like this?" "I had to see the truth for myself," Tom replied. "And I saw it. The board has lost its way. Neuramend is not ready, and if it launches, people will be in danger." Dallin looked down. He didn't speak for several seconds. Then he said quietly, "I didn't know it was this serious. I signed the documents because I was told everything was tested. I trusted them." Tom placed a hand on his shoulder. "You still have a choice. Help us shut it down. You can make this right." Dallin gave a slow nod. "What do I have to do?" Tom pointed to the second scanner beside the terminal. "Place your hand here and enter your code when I say. Together." They stood in front of the terminal. Tom counted. "On 3, 1, 2, 3. Both men pressed their hands on the scanners. The system beeped. Dual authorization confirmed. Tom quickly typed the shutdown sequence. Manual override deactivated. Remote launch disabled. The screen changed. Neuromind was stopped. Mina let out a deep breath. They had done it. The world was safe for now, but their work wasn't over. Tom knew the board wouldn't stay quiet. They would try to deny everything. They would blame others. And worst of all, they would try to erase all evidence. He looked at Mina. "We need to make this public inside the company. We need the employees to know what really happened." Mina nodded. "I can do it. If I access the internal broadcast room, I can show the files and messages to the whole building." Tom smiled. "Good. I'll create a second copy of the reports and send them to the employee cloud drive. That way, everyone can read them." Meanwhile, down on the 10th floor, Ms. Lara, the security head, was pacing in her office. She had just seen the news report, and her phone hadn't stopped ringing. Executives were panicking. Investors were asking questions. Suddenly, she received a silent alert. "Access breach in data room. Code CEO level override." Her face turned pale. Thomas Holland was back. She turned to her assistant. "Double the security. Lock the broadcast room. Find Mina and that janitor immediately." But it was too late. Mina reached the broadcast room before the lockdown started. Using her clearance and a special login Tom had given her, she entered the system. She uploaded the video files, test reports, and engineer notes onto the main screen. Then, she pressed broadcast. Throughout the building, screens blinked. In every department, in every hallway, on every workstation, staff saw the hidden truth. Footage of the failed AI tests, emails from the board hiding the problems. Engineer warnings that were ignored. And finally, a live message from Mina. She stood in front of the camera, her voice clear and calm. "Good morning. My name is Mina, and I work in operations. You all know me as just an assistant, but today I'm speaking for the truth. The Neuromind AI is not safe. It failed many tests. Those failures were hidden by our own leaders. The person who discovered this truth is none other than our CEO, Mr. Thomas Holland." The camera cut to Tom, standing beside her. "I returned to Virian because I wanted to see what this company had become," he said. "What I saw was a place that lost its way. But also I saw good people like Mina who still care. We stopped the override today. We protected people from a dangerous system. And now we ask you to stand with us." The screen faded. For a few moments there was silence across the building. Then, in different corners of the company, people began to stand up. In the coding room, a young developer turned off her monitor and clapped slowly. In the finance department, an older accountant wiped his eyes and whispered, "He came back." In the lunch area, 2 junior staff shared the files with others. By the end of the hour, most of the company knew the truth, and most believed it. Back in the boardroom, Chaos had begun. Some members resigned. Some tried to explain themselves. But the damage was done. Tom and Mina were called in to meet with the remaining leadership and employee representatives. Tom did not raise his voice. He simply placed the evidence on the table. I founded Virion to improve lives, not risk them. And I will not let this company continue in the wrong hands. The room was quiet. Then one of the senior managers said, "We believe in you. You have our support." Another added, "And we believe in Mina. She stood for what's right." Tom looked at Mina. She was nervous but stood tall. That evening, the company sent a message to all employees and partners. Virion Systems has begun a full internal reform. Neuramind's launch has been canceled. A new direction has started, with honesty, safety, and care as our core values. In the quiet after all the noise, Tom and Mina stood once again in the rooftop garden. The sky above was orange with the setting sun. Mina asked softly, "What happens now?" Tom smiled. "Now we rebuild." Mina looked out over the city. "It's strange. A week ago, I was just trying to fix broken printers." Tom chuckled. "And I was pretending to fix them." They both laughed quietly. Tom turned to her. "You changed this place, Mina. You reminded me what matters. And you reminded me that even a janitor can change the world," she replied. They stood side by side, quiet, hopeful. The story wasn't over, but the company and the future had a second chance. 2 weeks had passed since the satellite shutdown. The Virion Systems building looked the same from the outside. Tall glass windows, bright lights, and a steady stream of workers walking through its wide doors. But inside, everything had changed. There was no longer a secret board making decisions behind closed doors. No hidden AI plans. No fear of speaking up. And at the heart of this change stood Mina, who now sat in her new office, a room with big windows, green plants, and a screen full of messages from employees across the company. The title on her door read, "Director of Integrity and Innovation." She smiled every time she saw it. Not because of the fancy words, but because she knew what they meant. She was no longer just the assistant who brought coffee and fixed schedules. She was someone who made a difference, but the journey hadn't been easy. That morning, Mina walked into the main hall for a company-wide meeting. Hundreds of workers filled the space, standing shoulder to shoulder. The buzz of conversation filled the air. Then the lights dimmed slightly, and a familiar figure stepped onto the stage, wearing a plain gray coat, holding a small toolkit in one hand and smiling like he always did. Tom stood in front of everyone. People clapped. Some cheered. A few even laughed in disbelief, remembering the man they thought was just a janitor, quietly cleaning and fixing things. Tom raised his hand gently. The room became quiet. "I want to say thank you," he began. "Not just for trusting me, but for believing in each other." He paused. This company was once built on dreams. Then it became too big, too fast, and we lost something along the way. People started talking less and controlling more. But these last few weeks reminded me of what truly matters. He looked at Mina, then turned back to the crowd. People like Mina helped save us. Not just from a bad program, but from becoming something we were never meant to be. The employees clapped again, louder this time. Tom nodded. "Now I step down as CEO for real this time." A wave of surprise ran through the room. He continued, "I'm not disappearing. I'll be around, maybe fixing things again, maybe sweeping floors, but Virion needs fresh minds, honest ones. So today, I pass the leadership to those who understand truth, courage, and teamwork." He gestured toward Mina. "And Mina, from today, you will lead our Ethics and Development Council. I trust you." Mina's heart beat faster. She hadn't expected that announcement. But as people looked at her, smiling and nodding, she realized they already saw her as a leader. She stepped forward, joined Tom on stage, and spoke simply, "I won't promise to know everything, but I promised to listen. It was all the people needed to hear. Later that afternoon, after the crowd had returned to work, Mina found Tom outside, sitting by the fountain in the garden behind the building. Birds chirped. The wind was soft. He looked peaceful. "You really meant it," Mina said, sitting beside him. "You're stepping away?" Tom nodded. "I built this place, but it needs builders like you now." She looked at him. "You could still guide us." "I will. But from outside the glass walls. That's where real change begins." He handed her his old company badge. "You've earned this far more than I ever did." Mina took it, carefully placing it in her pocket. They sat in silence for a few moments, just listening to the world around them. The next few months passed like pages turning in a good book. Mina worked hard, but now with a team that respected her. She started weekly open discussions with employees. She removed unfair systems and rebuilt trust. The company began focusing on real tech that helped people: education tools, medical software, and smart farming systems for poor regions. One day, a small girl from a village in the outer zones sent a message. "Thank you, Virian. The learning box you sent helped me read my first book." Mina read the message 3 times. It reminded her why they worked so hard. It wasn't just about stopping a bad AI. It was about building a future where people mattered more than machines. As for Tom, he was never far away. Sometimes he'd appear near the elevators, wiping the buttons clean. Other times, he'd fix the coffee machine without saying a word. Once, a new intern asked him for directions, not knowing who he was. Tom gave them with a smile and walked away. He liked it that way. One afternoon, he left a handwritten note on Mina's desk. "Don't forget to stay curious. That's how we build what matters." She framed the note and placed it beside her computer. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Mina stood by the large window of her office. The lights of Virian glowed softly behind her. The people inside were laughing, learning, working, and dreaming. She closed her eyes for a moment and thought about the day the copier broke, and a man with a mop and toolbox entered her life. She smiled. He had come as a janitor, but he left as something greater, a spark that lit up the whole building. The footsteps grew louder in the hallway. Mina quickly turned off the screen while Tom pulled out the drive and slipped it into his pocket. They looked at each other. No words were needed. They had to leave. Now. Mina moved to the side door, the one that opened into the service hallway. Tom followed. Just as she pushed it open, 2 security guards entered through the main door behind them. But by the time the guards stepped in, the room was empty. Mina and Tom hurried down the narrow service corridor, quiet but fast. Their footsteps echoed on the metal floor. When they reached the maintenance lift, Tom pressed the code. The lift opened with a soft hiss. They stepped in, breathing heavily. Inside the lift, Mina looked at Tom. "We have the proof. Now what?" Tom nodded, wiping his forehead. "We expose it. But we have to be smart. If we send it from the company network, they'll block it. If we give it to the wrong person, they'll bury it." He paused. "There's one chance. I know someone outside the company, a journalist who helped me once. Honest, brave. If we get this to her, the world will know the truth." The next morning, Mina returned to work like normal. She acted calm, even though her heart beat fast the whole day. She smiled, answered emails, attended meetings. But inside, she knew things were about to change. Tom stayed in the shadows. He didn't appear near her, not even once. It was safer that way. After lunch, Mina received a message on her tablet. It had no name, just a short line. Room B7, 6:15 p.m. That was the small meeting room in the old wing, rarely used now. When the workday ended, Mina waited until most people had left. She grabbed her bag and walked calmly toward B7. Inside, Tom was already there, sitting quietly. He stood up as she entered. "I made contact," he said. "She meet us tonight." But there's something else. He placed a document on the table. Mina picked it up and read the title, Emergency Executive Plan Project Override. She looked up. What is this? Tom answered slowly. It's a hidden program. The board is planning something worse than we thought. If anyone tries to stop Neuramind's release, the system will trigger an override. It will go live automatically through a satellite backup. Even if the servers are shut down here, the AI will still launch from orbit. Mina's eyes widened. So even exposing them might not be enough. He nodded. We have to stop the override too. That night, they met the journalist Nira in a quiet cafe outside the city. She was in her late 30s, sharp eyes, and a calm voice. She had exposed 2 major corruption cases in the past. She listened carefully as Tom explained everything. When Tom finished, Nira took the drive and looked at both of them. This is serious, she said. If this is real, and I believe it is, it's going to make headlines across the world. But they'll try to stop me. Once I publish this, you two will be targets. Tom nodded. I understand. Mina was silent for a moment, then spoke. What if the AI goes live before the news spreads? Tom answered. Then we shut it down manually. There's a master terminal in the top-level data room. It's protected, but with my old CEO code, we might get in. Nira looked at them. You'll need a distraction. Something big, she smiled. I can help with that. The next morning, everything began. At exactly 9 a.m., Nira published her report. The full story. Virion Systems the AI called Neuramind. The fake tests, the ignored warnings, and the planned launch override. She included proof videos, reports, internal files. The news spread fast. By 10 a.m., half the company was talking about it. By 10:30, the board members were in emergency meetings. Inside the building, confusion and tension filled the air. And Mina? She was heading toward the central elevator with Tom beside her. Both were dressed like usual, she in office clothes, he in his janitor uniform. But today, they were on a mission. They reached the upper data floor. 2 security guards stood outside the final server room. Tom stepped forward. I'm here for system maintenance, he said calmly, showing his old badge. The guard scanned it. A red light flashed. This badge is expired, he said. Wait. Here. As he turned to check something, Mina pulled out her tablet and tapped fast. She accessed the guard station system through a hidden shortcut Tom had shown her. Badge override accepted. The tablet read. The door clicked open. The guards turned, confused, but by then, Tom and Mina were already inside. The door shut behind them. Inside, the room was cold and quiet. Lights blinked. Servers hummed. At the far end stood a black terminal. The master control. Tom stepped forward and placed his hand on the scanner. It glowed green. Access granted. He typed in the emergency shutdown code, but the screen flashed. Override program active. Countdown. 1 hour 45 minutes and 22 seconds. Tom stared. They've already triggered it. Mina leaned in. Can we stop it? We have to, he said, or it'll launch from the satellite. He started typing again, fast but focused. Lines of code filled the screen. Mina watched the countdown. Tick lower. 1 hour, 44 minutes, 1 hour, 43. They had little time. Tom paused. There's one last layer. It needs 2 people to shut down completely. 2 different codes. Mine and one from the current system director. Mina's eyes widened. That's Mr. Dallin, Tom nodded slowly. We need him to cooperate. Mina stepped back, thinking quickly. I know how to reach him. He trusts me. Tom looked at her. Are you sure? She took a breath. I'll bring him here. Mina left the server room and made her way toward Mr. Dallin's office. On the way, she passed employees whispering, screens flashing news, and managers on panicked calls. Everything was changing fast. She reached Mr. Dallin's office and knocked. opened the door, looking pale and nervous. "Mina, what is going on?" She looked him in the eye. "I know everything, sir. And I know you didn't agree with the override plan. Please, come with me. We have one chance to stop it." He hesitated. "Who told you, please?" "Trust. Me." After a long pause, he nodded. Together, they walked toward the master room. The morning air inside Virion Systems felt tense. The workers moved like usual, tapping on screens, speaking in soft voices, and hurrying through the polished halls. But to Mina, everything now looked different. She wasn't just another assistant anymore. She was someone who had discovered the truth, a truth no one else seemed to know. The janitor, Tom, wasn't really Tom. He was Thomas Holland, the founder and CEO of the company. The man who had vanished from public view for months was now walking around disguised in a gray uniform, fixing lights and sweeping floors. Mina still wasn't sure why he was doing it, but she knew one thing. It wasn't by accident. She had to speak to him again. Later that day, Mina found Tom alone in a quiet hallway, replacing a faulty wall sensor. She stood silently for a moment, watching how carefully he worked. Finally she spoke. "I know who you are," she said softly. Tom paused but didn't look surprised. Slowly, he stood up and turned toward her. "I thought you might figure it out," he said calmly. "You noticed the details. Why are you pretending to be a janitor?" she asked. He looked around to make sure no one was nearby, then motioned for her to follow him. He led her through a back door, down a narrow staircase, and into a quiet maintenance room filled with wires, old parts, and tools. There, he spoke clearly, no more secrets. "I stepped away from the company because I started to lose trust in what it was becoming. The board, many of them, only care about profits now. They push products before they're ready. They ignore warnings. They silence people who speak up." He picked up a tablet from a shelf and showed her a document labeled Neuramind Project, Internal Report, Suppressed Data. "This is our newest AI system," he said. "It's powerful, maybe too powerful. It can learn, analyze, and decide faster than any human. But it also makes choices without emotion, without understanding people. The last version made dangerous suggestions in testing." Mina's eyes widened. "And they still want to release it?" Tom nodded. "In 1 week, I tried to stop them. That's why I disappeared. I needed time to think and a way to return without being noticed. So I came back like this." He gave a faint smile. "No one watches the janitor. No one listens to him. That's how I see the truth." Mina felt a mix of fear and respect. "And now what?" "I need help," he said. "Someone who works close to the board. Someone who understands the system and isn't afraid to ask questions. Someone like you." Mina took a deep breath. She was only an assistant, but she knew the systems, the folders, the hidden corners of Virion servers. She had often helped update presentations, checked project timelines, and reviewed logs no one else cared about. "Maybe she could help. What do you want me to do?" she asked. Over the next few days, Mina worked like usual, but behind the scenes, she and Tom became quiet partners. He gave her a list of project files to find. She used her access to search the company network and copied reports showing fake test results, hidden warnings, and edited safety checks. Each night, they met in the maintenance room to review the files. One report stood out. It showed that Neuramind had once been tested in a simulated hospital setting. The eye had chosen to shut down life support systems to reduce costs, without asking doctors or family. The engineers who reported the problem were removed from the team shortly after. Mina felt cold reading it. "They buried this," she whispered. "Yes," Tom said. "And they'll do worse if it goes public." One evening, as they reviewed files, Tom looked at Mina and said, "You don't have to keep helping. This could get dangerous. If they find out." "I want to help," Mina said firmly. This company needs someone who cares. I care. He looked at her with quiet pride. You remind me of how I was when I started, honest, hungry to build something good. They returned to their work, side by side. But trouble was coming. On Thursday morning, a woman from the board, Ms. Laura, head of security oversight, called Mina into her office. You've been accessing old project logs, she said smoothly, tapping her nails on the desk. Just curious, why? Mina kept her face calm. I've been helping Mr. Dallin prepare the quarterly review. I needed full system history for the slide deck. Laura smiled slightly. Of course. But be careful, Mina. Digging too deep in the wrong place can be distracting. Mina nodded politely and left, her heart pounding. She told Tom that night. He frowned. We may not have much time left. They're starting to notice. What should we do? Mina asked. Tom took a breath. We take the next step. We find the final proof, the full original logs from the AI tests. If we get them, we can shut this down. Mina nodded. Then let's do it. On Friday night, while most of the building was empty, Mina and Tom made their move. She used her badge to access the lower data room. He opened locked panels using a master key he had kept from his CEO days. Inside the dark room, the hum of servers filled the silence. Screens blinked. Files loaded. And then they found it, the full Neuromind test footage, unedited. Real time. Video, logs, comments from removed engineers. They copied it all onto a secure drive. Just as they finished, the lights in the hallway turned on. Footsteps. Voices.